Hey guys, in this video, let us learn about Spring Actuator. Let us understand what is Spring Actuator, how it works, and how to use Spring Actuator in a Spring REST application. Let us get started. What is Spring Actuator? Spring Actuator is a sub-project of Spring Boot. It brings production-ready features that can be used with our Spring REST application. It is a tool to monitor and manage your Spring REST APIs. Spring Actuator has few inbuilt REST endpoints which are hidden by default. These REST endpoints help us to get the metrics, check the health and perform management based tasks in our REST APIs. Okay. How this actuator works? It uses HTTP or JMX endpoints to manage and monitor the application. Before jumping into the coding, I just want to show you from the website about the Spring Actuator. Search for Spring Actuator. I have already opened it. Let me scroll down and I will select this production ready features. Spring Boot enables a number of additional features to monitor and manage your application. And how it is done? Using HTTP endpoints or with JMX. Auditing, healthing, metrics check can be also be automatically applied to your application. This is achieved with the help of Spring Actuator. Let me click on this. Now, Spring Actuator is a module that provides all the Spring Boot's production ready features. Health, metrics, what are the beans that are available, what are the cache details that are in your application, how much disk space it is taking, what is the environment features that it is having. All those are added as inbuilt REST endpoints. Okay, to use Spring Actuator, you need to add a dependency and then you have to expose these REST endpoints using the YAML file. While working with our application, we will do that. Okay, let me go to Spring Toolsuite. Okay, now we will see how to use Actuator in two different examples. One is a very basic example and behaves like a REST API. The other one is a REST API which is connected to the database. First, let me open the application, the basic one, Spring Book App-REST. Let me open src main Java, the controller package. I have got one controller which is having two REST endpoints. Now open pom.xml. We need to add Spring Boot Actuator as dependency. Select pom.xml, right click, Spring, add starters. Search for Actuator. If it is available for you on the top, you can select it or search for it and add it. Click next. Select pom.xml, click finish. Now it is added. Save pom.xml and update your project. Select pom.xml, right click, Maven, update project. Force update of snapshots. Click OK. Fine. Now what next? Already the controller class is available. First let us run the application. This application is running in port number 8080. Select the application, right click, run as Spring Boot app. Let me maximize the console. The application is up and running in port number 8080 and it is also exposing one endpoint beneath the base path actuator. So there is a base path as actuator. Let us see what is there in that and then we will proceed further for enabling other REST endpoints. Okay, now let me open the browser. Localhost / 8080 / actuator. Enter. Now this actuator is exposing one REST endpoint which is health. That's what it has shown there. Actuator already whatever you are seeing over here. Now to this let me add /health. Status is up. This means your application is up and running. That is the meaning of this particular URL. Now what I want is, I want to see the other REST endpoints that are underneath the actuator. Let me go to spring.io. Endpoints, click on endpoints. Actuator endpoints let you monitor and interact with your application. It has got a few inbuilt REST endpoints. So what are they? Audit events, beans. What are the beans that are created by your application? Caches. What are the different types of caches provided? Conditions, environment, health, info, loggers, and few other REST endpoints. Okay. By default, they are not exposed. If you need to expose it, you need to add few configuration details in YAML file or properties file. So scroll down for that. By default, only the health endpoint is exposed over HTTP and JMX. Now we need to expose the other REST endpoints. Since these endpoints may contain sensitive information, you have to be extra careful while exposing these REST endpoints. If you give star, all the REST endpoints will be exposed. So you need to decide based on your project what are the REST endpoints that you need to include. So this is the property management.endpoint.jmx.exposure.include. Also exclude is there. We will discuss now. Dot include. We are using HTTP protocol, so we will have to use http.include. So let me go back to my application. I do have application.yaml. Now here let us add that. Management.endpoints.web.exposure.include. Just give start. So this will expose all the REST endpoints. Actually 13 REST endpoints that are under Actuator. Let me save this and relaunch the application. Let me maximize the console. So it is exposing 14 endpoints beneath the base path /actuator. Okay. Let us check it out. Let me go back to the browser. /actuator. Health is by default exposed. Press enter. Click on pretty print. Select pretty print. Now see the REST endpoints that are enabled. Actuator, beans, caches, health/path, info, conditions, config props, environment, loggers. Okay, let us select one and check it out. We will check with beans. Beans means what are the Spring beans that are created by the Spring Boot application, that is by the IOC container. Let me add it in the next tab. Pretty print. There are so many inbuilt beans created by the IOC container. In our case, we have got one controller class. So for this controller class also a bean is created. Let us check it out. The name of the controller class is greet controller. So let me give control F, greet here. Greet controller, scope is singleton, type is in which package it is available, and resources. Greet controller.class. Dependencies. Now I have only one single controller class. If this class is dependent on service implementation, that would have been added in dependencies. That is why I want to show the other application also. And we are having our main class. For that also an object is created. That is, a Spring Bean is created by the IOC container, right? So my main class name is Spring Book. Here, Spring Book App REST application. Scope is singleton, in which package it is dependencies. Okay. So these are the beans that are available in our application. Now let me go back to this actuator endpoint. Here we are having health. Let me give E and V. So it provides the environment details needed for this application. Okay. So likewise, you can pick and choose the appropriate URL to check the health, check the metrics, check the cache details, the beans that are available in your application. Yeah, we were discussing about the metrics so many times. So let me select that and check it also. So we were discussing that we can gather the metrics about our Spring REST API. What are the metrics that will be given for us? It is about the thread details, the disk space available, and the JVM specific details, the process specific details, and about Tomcat server. Okay, fine. Now if I want to get the details about a particular endpoint, that also is possible. Now let me go back to the application. Here we will do few more changes. Now include I have given star. Okay, but I don't want to expose few REST endpoints, as in I can add exclude colon. I don't want to expose beans. I don't want to expose metrics. Okay, now there is space, so that's why I am getting an error. Let me relaunch the application. Now we cannot access these two REST endpoints. Let me maximize the console. Now it is showing exposing 12 endpoints beneath the base path / actuator. Go back to the browser. Under actuator, enter, pretty print. We don't have beans and we don't have metrics. If I try to access metrics, I'll get a white label error page because it is not visible. Okay. Next, what about this base path? The base path starts with / actuator. If I want to give a different base path, that also is possible. Let me go back to Spring Tool Suite. Here, management endpoints web. Together with that, I can have base path. Now / maybe I can have it as dashboard. The default name for the base path is actuator. Now I am changing it to / dashboard. There is an indentation issue. Go back. Save. Relaunch the application. Now the application has started. Let me maximize the console. Exposing 12 endpoints beneath the base path / dashboard. / actuator. Now if I try to give / actuator, it should give me an error. Refresh. I am getting a white label error page. Remove actuator. Instead of that, just give it as dashboard. Enter. The remaining things are all the same. Instead of showing it as actuator, now it is showing it as dashboard. One last point. In the configuration file, I want to see the complete details about one particular endpoint. So that is also possible. Management dot endpoint dot. See, for each endpoint you are having sub values. Audit events dot access, beans dot access, caches dot access. Similarly, health dot access, health dot group. So let us select one. Health dot show details. What are the values for that? It can be when _ authorized, always, or never. Now let us select always. Okay. Earlier when we saw that health REST endpoint, it was showing just the status as up. Together with that, now it is going to show the other details also. What is the disk space that is occupied by this particular application and few other points. The error is gone. Relaunch the application. Now go back, dashboard, refresh. Now from here I need to select health / health. See now, together with the status, it is also providing few other data in the form of JSON components. What is the disk space that is taken by this application? Total memory, free memory, and what is the path? Okay, pinging. If I ping, what about the status? It is up. Suppose if you are working with the database, it will provide the details about the database space also. Okay, fine. Now the same thing, let us try it for the other application. Now let me stop the console. Now let me stop the other application. The next application that we are going to deal with is Spring Book App REST JPA. Let me open it. So it's a proper REST API which is connected to the database. The database that I am using is MySQL. So it has got controller classes. This is the proper controller. Okay. Controller class, exception, model, a repository which is iBook repository, then iBook service, book service IMPL. So in this application, controller depends on service, service depends on repository, repository depends on JDBC template to connect to the database. Okay. Now I need to add the dependency. Select pom.xml, right click Spring, add starters. Okay. If you see here, it is giving me an error because of the Spring Boot version. I have done this application using Spring Boot version 3.2, but now the Spring Boot version that is compatible for this Spring toolsuit is 3.4.2. So we need to update our Spring Boot version. There are two ways of doing it. Go to pom.xml, directly go and change the version and update pom.xml. The other way is select pom.xml, right click Spring, upgrade Spring Boot version. Select loading. Migrate to Spring Boot 3.4. Can you see this? I have selected the first one. Click OK. Do you want to preview changes before applying or apply right away? Apply. Now this is my pom.xml. See, the version is changed to 3.4.2. Save. Now I need to add the new starter. Select Spring. Add starters. So this time it should show me Spring Actuator. Selected. Click Next. Select pom.xml and click Finish. Okay. Next step is, already I am having my YAML file with all the database specific details. Together with that, let us expose the REST endpoints. management.endpoints.web.exposure.include. Yeah. Let me select the content assist. Star within quotes. Save all, relaunch your application. The application is running in port number 8081. Let me maximize the console. Let us check whether the REST endpoints are exposed. Exposing 12 REST endpoints beneath the base path. Now let us run this application. Select the main class, right click, run as Spring Boot app. This is running in port number 8081. Let me maximize the console. Okay. Exposing 14 endpoints beneath the base path / actuator. Now let me go to the browser. So this time it is port number 8081 / actuator. See, all the REST endpoints are exposed. What I want is to see the beans that are created for this particular application. Beans. Pretty print. Control F. Search for book response controller. Yeah, here. Book response controller depends on book service IMPL. So let me search for book service IMPL. Book service IMPL. This is a bean which is created by the IOC container. It is of type book service IMPL. Depends on iBook repository. So let me search for iBook repository. iBook repository is an interface. The implementation class is created by the IOC container during the runtime. So automatically it should be shown over here. iBook repository, it depends on JPA named queries. It depends on entity manager factory, it depends on JPA mapping content. These are all the object of few inbuilt classes. Named parameter JDBC template. This is also an inbuilt class which is used for connecting with the database. iBook repository uses JDBC template to connect to the database. So that is also available over here. Okay. So these are the beans that are available in your application. Now let us check the metrics. So these are the properties that are available for checking the metrics of your application. If you want to get the details about individual metrics, you have to select that endpoint and provide the attributes, just like how we have done for health. Now here /health will be just up. So what I will do is, I will add that also. Means endpoint dot health dot show details. Always relaunch your application. Just like how we have seen the beans, let us also check the health, where it will talk about the database specific stuffs. Let me open the browser. Enter. So now here, this is also providing the details about the database. The database that we are using, whether the status of the database is up and running. Just like how we have seen disk space, it is also providing the details about the database. Because for this application, I have included database also. So this is about Actuator. Actuator plays a very important role in Spring REST APIs. It provides with all the features that are needed for monitoring and managing your REST API. That's it. Thank you.